Unfortunately, there's no way to really confirm it. There's a bit of faith in the company you buy the product from, knowing that it's a reputable company. The requirements for nutritional components in a natural product is that it has to be plus or minus 20%. So you might be getting 20% lower, you might be getting 20% higher. That's by law, but it's very difficult to enforce. So the truth is, you want to look for chlorella from a company that you believe is reputable. There's just no way to guarantee that, the B12 level in this brand of chlorella is exactly what they say it is on the label. You have to just know that it's a reputable company.
Well, and there's ways to do that too. And reputable companies have certain processes in place to maintain that they're reputable.
Yes.
And there's a process. I mean, basically, when a company sells chlorella, they're not going out into making it themselves, because there's really only a few producers of chlorella in the world, and they provide it as a raw material to these manufacturers, and the manufacturers put it into capsules or whatever form that's going to work. But it's incumbent upon the person who's buying the raw material. They will get a certificate of analysis from the person who's selling them the raw material. But it's in our experiences, we only work with vendors who will take that and do independent third-party laboratory evaluations on every new batch that they're receiving to confirm that that's the case. So that's what I was referring to, is that how can someone call up or find out just to make sure that the company who's actually selling that product is in fact doing this third-party laboratory evaluation, because I don't believe is that required with the new GMP standards to do that?
To do third-party?
Yeah.
It is required to have a paper trail. Whether that includes a third-party test, I'm not sure. But you're right. If you were to call the company, which everybody's phone number is on their label now, and ask them for a copy of the certificate of analysis, ask them how often they test lots, because to be quite honest, testing a full nutritional profile is really expensive, and they don't necessarily do it on every lot, but they do it on every third lot, or they do it randomly to guarantee that you're getting the same levels. But another key is the process in which the chlorella is made. You're going to have variations if you're in a climate that changes, where you don't have the same amount of sun during the winter as you do in the summer, for instance, and so you'll have variations there. Most chlorella is grown in artificial ponds, and so they can control a lot of the growth and how much sun it gets and so forth. How much nutrients it gets.
So
another place.
Most of it would tend to be more tropical environments, since the sun is such an important variable in the production.
Right. And you want to look for places that it is grown away from pollution, because, as you mentioned, chlorella binds to heavy metals, and so you want to make sure your chlorella is from a place that has really clean water, because if the water has any polluted heavy metal levels, it's going to just get bound right into your chlorella.
And that's another good sign of a high-quality producer of chlorella, is that they will do a heavy metal analysis that they can confirm to you on a regular basis, which is relatively inexpensive to do, but should be done on every lot to make sure that there's no heavy metals in there.
Yeah, that absolutely should be done on every lot, because it's an inexpensive test, and two, it's really important, especially, as I said, with chlorella, because of its unique ability to bind heavy metals. One way to guarantee some quality is also there is organic chlorella available, and as we all know, the term organic has very stringent rules that one has to follow to become certified. And it's become not just, that there's no pesticides, and that there's no organic solvents being used, and there's no artificial fertilizers, but it's really a test of quality because of the more stringent requirements to become organic certified. It's almost like what in the food industry uses for kosher. Kosher has, cultural things about it that people look for that kosher certification. But these days, most people look for kosher certification as a sign of quality and hygiene. And for chlorella or for any supplement product, if you're buying things that are organic, you're going to have higher quality than conventional.
Yeah, and I think with chlorella, it's more about the process too, because unlike most plants or herbs that are grown and used as supplements, I don't believe pesticides are ever used in the production of chlorella, even non-organic chlorella, because it's because of the way it's grown. So that's not going to be an issue, and it's really one of the primary reasons why one would want an organic to avoid those pesticides. But in chlorella, it's really the process and the intention of the high-quality product that's the end result.
Right, and maybe they don't use pesticides, but conventionally grown, there's a big difference between what kind of approved fertilizers are allowed to use
okay. So
in
there's
organic, and so there is a difference. There's a fertilizer that's a sodium nitrate. It's a form of sodium nitrate. And you want nitrates in your fertilizer, especially for something like chlorella that's high in protein, because the nitrates help improve the protein content. But there is a natural source of nitrate called Chilean nitrate that's used in a number of conventional food products and as well as in algae products that is actually not allowed for organic for a couple of reasons, but not necessarily health reasons, but because this particular extraction and mining of this Chilean nitrate, it comes from cliffs in Chile and Peru, have really adverse ecological consequences. And so you're also, whenever you buy organic, you're also not just buying for the health reasons, you're buying for ecological reasons and for the health of workers and to make sure there's no runoff from pesticides or from fertilizers. So there's more involved than just the health benefits of purchasing organic as well.
Kind of slipping back to the one of the reasons that someone might consume chlorella would be for heavy metal detoxification. I'm wondering if you're familiar with any of the specifics with respect to dosing and timing of the chlorella to optimize for that indication.
Well, you want to be taking it every day, that's for sure. It's not something that you just take occasionally, like some herbs or some supplements. Chlorella is something you want to be taking every day. And the dosage is actually high. You need to be getting at least 4 grams each day of chlorella to get the benefits that it provides.
Is it best to take that in divided doses, or can one take that all at once?
You could do it either, but I think you should take it all at once. I think it's going to work best when it's all taken at once, probably at the beginning of the day.
Now, chlorella is frequently sold in these tiny tablets. And I forget how many milligrams of chlorella in those. Typically compressed with...
500 milligrams.
500 milligrams. Okay, so that would be 8 tablets then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For this, but that's the really tiny tablets are 500 milligrams?
Most of them are 500 milligrams.
Okay. All right, so that would be 500. So that's still a lot. And many people, in my experience, tend to become slightly nauseous when they're first taking chlorella. What's your experience with that, and do you have any recommendations?
Well, one of the reasons might be because they're pulling toxins from their body, and they often will get nauseous or have diarrhea, and that should go away over time. A lot of that is the result of actually pulling out, detoxifying your body.
So is it helpful to take it in smaller doses initially as you're first starting it?
Yeah, you might even, and then increases over time. That's actually a very good idea.
And how about taking it with food or without food? Does it make a difference?
Well, some people do have a reaction without food, just like, you do with a lot of supplements. It's just the fact of having an empty stomach. Mm-hmm. I think it's better to take with food, just to avoid the nausea.
Okay.
But that doesn't happen to everybody.
But it can happen, and it would be sort of negligent not to mention that as a possibility. Right. It is the minority of people, and most people do really well with it, and it's not an issue. But not to be surprised if that happens. So you had mentioned that this organic chlorella is manufactured differently through and produces a higher quality product for both for health reasons, but then also for environmental or ecological reasons. Are there any other reasons that one might to choose an organic chlorella, and what might be other